Welcome to this May edition of Local Image. It's been a tough spring with a winter that wouldn't seem to go away, but our first segment will definitely get you in the mood for some upcoming summer fun. I get all the details from a group of friends gathered inside Grandma's Bakery in White Bear Lake in this Local Image interview. Well, it's that time of year again, time to talk about Manitou Days in White Bear Lake, and I have with me Bill Fassard and friends, and they've all been busy planning this year's Manitou Days events and activities. And Bill, tell us, what year is this for the Manitou
46
Days?
year.
Oh my
We're
goodness.
celebrating White Bear Lake, getting everybody together. Starts June 13th with Market Fest, and then the parade's the next day and whatever, but 60 events this year.
Oh my gosh.
It's just going to be a wonderful time.
It is, and one huge event that's taking place this year. It's really exciting. John, why don't you tell us about it?
We are going to build the world's longest ice cream sundae on the evening of June 20th.
How long?
7:30. It's going to be over 1,000 feet long,
my
over
goodness.
3 city blocks long.
That is, I don't even know how do you start to plan something like that?
It's a
crazy.
logistic nightmare.
I can imagine, yeah.
But we have a big committee that's working on it, and we've just captured the imagination of the town with this. All the proceeds from this are going to go to the Relay for Life.
That
so it's really
is
good.
what's so cool.
Our goal is that 100% of the money donated will go to the Relay for Life, and we hope to raise over $10,000.
What can people do to participate in
Come and eat.
Oh.
To have a world record, it's required that everything be consumed.
Oh, wow.
So we need a lot of people to come out the night of June 20th.
It's part of Market Fest.
And part of Market Fest, and it'll be free for those that come. Free ice cream.
And another exciting event that's new this year, Lisa's going to tell us about, is this video contest. What's that all about?
Well, this is something that Bill has dreamed of for a few years, and this is the year we're going to make it happen. We want to give people a chance to share their video skills with an original, creative video of whatever that is that they like about White Bear Lake. We're going to use it to promote Manitou Days and also create a little buzz about the event this year. So many fun things that are happening. What is really cool is for the best video, there's a $500 cash prize as well as an overnight stay at the White Bear Country Inn.
Perfect.
So, obviously a great incentive. There are people out there that enjoy making videos, and we want to give them a chance to share their original creative video with us.
And we'll be doing some kind of a joint cooperative with you in terms of folks who want to learn how to produce a video or use our gear at our Community Media Center. So we'll have that. It'll be available on your website, all the information, right?
Absolutely. We're going to go ahead and put all the resources, forums, and guidelines on manitoudays.com, and we will also link to your site so that people can access those resources.
And of course, the kickoff after Market Fest on Thursday is Friday's parade. That's always the centerpiece of this event. Tell us about it, Paul.
We like to call it the Manitou Days Grand Day Parade.
Nice.
It's going to be Friday night, the 14th. It starts at 6:30. You have rain or shine. We'll have probably 100 units in it. I really like to do it because for those 3 hours that the parade's going on, nobody's worried about their health, nobody's worried about their money, nobody's worried about their sickness. Life is good for those 3 hours.
It
and I get
is.
to
It's
help
bringing
put that on.
families together,
Right.
and everybody is out celebrating White Bear again, a beautiful
It's
community.
so well attended. We cover that event as well and replay it on the channel, and it's just fun to see everyone come out. It is a great family event, and then people build on that for the rest of the night, and just it carries on into the weekend. It's such a great time.
Well, we have a beach dance
Dance
following.
afterwards.
Joe Cruz is playing at
Awesome.
Memorial Beach.
Very
Have that. I mean, there's so many fun events. The
Yeah.
antique boat show,
Yep.
family fun nights.
All of these events can be found on the manitoudays.com website and also explore whitebearlake.com.
Yes.
So we'll look forward to
Manitoudays.com.
Manitou Days 2013. Come out and check it out. It's going to be a lot of fun. Planning for a big event like Manitou Days takes a lot of work, and I can appreciate how much effort goes into it because we sure put a lot of work into our Celebrate Community Media open house held late last month, but it was well worth it. Take a look at some highlights captured by GTN photographer Troy Sepian.
first of the century open house tonight. Lots of excitement, and something that we felt would be great outreach to the community.
Well, technically, I'm here because I enjoy coming to SCC. And I was asked if I would volunteer, and I don't mind doing that because we do a program here. We do 2 or 3 programs. So that's why I'm here tonight, and it's been enjoyable. I was really pleased to see how many people had come through this studio and all the facilities here today. And it wasn't just the regulars like me.
This is the most wonderful people that are here. They help you so much. I just can't begin to tell you how wonderful it is here, because I knew nothing about any of this, and this place has just changed my whole life.
I think people are looking for something. People really want to connect with things. People have something to say. They also have something to say, and they also want people to hear what they have to say. And you know what? What better way to do that than on television? Because television is the world's most powerful communications medium.
I enjoy the reward that comes out of producing a well-done end product.
The winner is Jody Ritaka. Gray Seaver. Thank you to everyone who came out for the open house. I think it was a fantastic event and the staff did a wonderful job, and it was just nice to see people and chat and understand whether they currently do a show here or whether they're coming here for the first time. It was fun to get their impressions.
We had a great open house, and if you didn't make it out for it, just know that your community media center is open to all, and we hope you stop by anytime to check out and learn what community media can do for you. Now, let's go back to downtown Whitebear Lake, where we checked out a new vintage record store called Go Johnny Go Records. Hi, John Cass.
Hi.
Hi.
Welcome to Go Johnny Go.
I'm Judy Skeie-Voss.
All right.
Thanks for having us out today. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
This is a nice little place you got here in Whitebear Lake. So you guys just opened this when? About
8 weeks ago?
8 weeks. So far, so good?
Yeah, real good.
All right. Well, you know, for the folks who want to get to know you a little bit better in your store, why don't you tell us why during this, you know, kind of digital downloads of all kinds of music would you want to open a vintage record shop?
Well, when you have almost 500,000 records, it's probably a good idea to open a record store. I think that's a good thing. I've been selling records online and overseas in a lot of cases for 15 years.
Is your whole collection here, or is this just a little bit?
Well, the store itself is a small, tiny sliver of all the records that I have, but the rest of the records are close by, so I can go get them. In fact, the best way to approach the record store is to go on my website first, gojohnnygo.com, and click the search button, and maybe you can search for some things on your wish list, things that you've always wanted, and then go where it says drop me a line, send me an email of what you're looking for. I can pull it out of the warehouse, and then when you come in the store, you can look through all the bargains that we have here.
Sure.
But you can also get something you really want.
Right, right. So I'm curious, how did this all start for you? Were you like a 5-year-old and got your first album and you were just hooked, or what started all
That's
this?
pretty good, actually. You know, it's like I've always spent all my money on records. It seems like the only thing that I ever really had a lot of passion about. So, and it stuck with me all these years. And during the early 90s, when everybody was trying to get rid of their records because they wanted to switch over to CDs, I was the guy who got all the records. And I found a place to store them, and I started selling them through the mail, and it just kept getting bigger and more popular, and sales were better every year.
Why do you think that is?
Well, there's a couple reasons why people like vinyl records. I think that, to me, the most important thing is a record is something that you can't make on your computer, whereas you can make a CD.
Gotcha.
And you can do it in a couple of minutes, whereas a record is like a real artifact of what the thing is, especially when you're talking about listening to music from the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, and the 80s. That music was intended to be on vinyl. They actually made it to be. So when you're listening to a vinyl record from that era, it makes the most sense. Now, if you're listening to music from, say, the 90s or the Audies or whatever they call it, I think that listening to CDs is just fine, because that's what it's intended to do.
Right.
So the real artifact is vinyl for a lot of the best music ever made.
Who are your clients, are you finding?
There's two different kinds of people that buy records. There's young hipsters and old burnouts. And surprisingly, they're looking for the same records in a lot of cases. The younger kids, they want Pink Floyd, Led Zeppelin, Jimi Hendrix, the Grateful Dead, the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, Bob Dylan, Bob Marley, AC/DC, all that kind of stuff. And so do the old burnouts. They want to buy their old records back. The ones they sold and bought CDs, now they want to get their records back.
Now, you've had a long history in the music business, too. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I've done just about every single thing in the record business that you could name. I've worked in radio. My wife worked in radio. I was a writer for magazines. I was in bands. I booked bands. I worked at a record manufacturing plant, actually pressed the records themselves. I've done virtually everything. I was in distribution, worked for a division of Warner Brothers for 12 years. And I was the sales rep to all the record stores between Duluth and El Paso, the whole central part of the U.S. The people that own record stores in that part of the country was the whole central U.S. Those are all my buddies. I still go on vacation with those guys sometimes. I'm friends with them all still. And I always really admired people that ran record stores. They're kind of interesting bunch, and I always kind of looked up to them. They always really kind of seemed very, very maverick-like, and to actually do it myself now has been something that I guess in the back of my mind I always knew I would, because I had all of the fixtures and the supplies. So when I had 1 week to get the store open, it was no problem. We were open within a week, and we were selling records the first hour we were open.
So White Bear Lake because it was convenient, or is this
that's where the records are.
Okay.
There's 500,000 records, and I've been storing them around here, and this is just right in the middle of it. It's a nice little space. This is about as close to an old school record store as it was in the 60s and 70s as you can get here.
So now tell us how the store operates, because obviously you can come in here and buy records, but you can come in and try to sell some too, right?
Sure.
How does that all work?
Absolutely. If you have records that you want to sell, the best thing to do is to give me a call. Call me at 612-735-1643. And take about 5 minutes, and when you're with the records, flip through the records and let me know what you have. You could say, Frank Sinatra, Elvis Presley, the Beatles, Michael Jackson. That way I know what kind of records you have. And that way you don't have to haul them all down here if I don't want them, because I'm kind of picky about what I want. There's certain things I'm looking for, and there's certain things that I'm not. And I hate to have somebody do all this work and then have to carry them in and out, especially when the weather's bad.
Absolutely. And so if someone brings some records in, are you giving them a fair price, kind of a market value, do you think?
No, I've got to make some money too, but generally if there's something that I want and it's in good shape, I'll pay anywhere from a couple bucks up to, $50, $100 if it's something that I want bad enough. If it's something that I want and it's scratched up, I can give you about a quarter.
Yeah.
A lot of records I don't want at all. So.
Right. Well, I happen to bring some albums. A couple are mine, but most are from a friend of mine at work, and he's quite the collector, so I wanted to get your impression on some of these. Here's one. Sticky Fingers.
Yeah, the early 70s Rolling Stones album. This is I think it's a Spanish pressing, if I'm not mistaken. There was a couple of different covers on this one here. This one's, I remember seeing this as an import when I was a kid. at the stores all
Pretty
the time.
impressive with the hand coming out of the can.
Oh yeah.
Is that quite a collector's item? Or
Yeah, absolutely,
okay.
absolutely. I wish people would bring stuff like that in all the time.
Oh, all right. Well, then maybe there's more. Now, this one is mine,
Sure.
and it was probably not one of the first albums. I had other ones, but I was a fan of Donna Summer. I don't know if she's very popular.
The
today,
Queen
but
of Disco.
she's a disco queen.
Sure.
I love Donna.
Yeah, and she just passed away like a year
know,
ago.
I
Yeah,
know.
she's an icon for that
Yeah.
kind of music. There's not a lot of people looking for disco records. There are a few select amount of people,
Special people like me.
but they're looking for the more obscure stuff. Donna sold 2 to 4 million
Yeah.
copies of all her albums, so they're easy to find.
All right, so that one's a quarter. That's what you're telling me. That's worth a quarter. Okay, let's try this one. It's not mine, but it's one of my favorite because I always love that kind of whatever you call that.
That's my favorite Rolling Stones album. There's a band that has like
Ah.
50 albums, but that's my favorite one. This is the Rolling Stones trying to be psychedelic, and I think they did a fantastic job of it actually
That
on
had
this
to be
record.
pretty unique at the time.
This is a 3D cover, and if you go like this with it, you can see different things, and at 4 different angles, you can also see all 4 members of the Beatles that are hidden down
my
here in the
goodness.
flowers. So you can
Wow.
not only see the Rolling Stones moving their heads around, but as you turn it, you can also see like John Lennon or Ringo peeking
Now,
out.
what was the reason for that? Any idea?
Well, because on the Beatles album, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, it says, "Ladies and gentlemen, welcome the Rolling Stones" on their cover, so they wanted to return the
A little
favor.
quid pro quo.
Right.
kind of thing. So
But I
this-
actually like this better than the Beatles Sgt. Pepper's. That's personal taste.
Is this, would this be a pretty valuable
with
find?
that cover it is, and it's on high demand, even though this probably sold, I don't know, like probably 1 million like this. It's in high demand, so there's a lot of people looking for this
Very
one.
cool. Okay, let's see this one. A little bit of Bad
Finger Straight Up?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's the cover on that one. Yeah, this is a band, everybody wants this record too. I wish I had a whole room of these.
Oh, well, maybe I'll get my friend to come in and see if he can get some
Sure.
he wants to sell.
Tell all your friends to come on in and check out the store.
So it's really hot right now in terms of buying and selling. Do you foresee, you kind of predicted this when you collected all those
Mm-hmm.
albums. So what do you see for the future?
I think that it's not going to go away. I think there's so many people in the world today that every single niche has an audience. And as there's more people, those niches aren't going to go away. There's still people buying saddles and accordions and covered wagons. And hopefully Go Johnny Go will be to the point where we're big enough worldwide that we are the place to go for records.
Yep.
Especially for stuff from Minnesota. I mean, I kind of pride myself in really specializing in that kind of thing. There's people all over the world looking for records from Minnesota. I
can
sent one to
imagine.
China a couple days ago.
A lot
so.
of Prince fans, I would
Of
bet.
course,
Yeah.
of course, him amongst many others.
Yeah. Well, this has been very exciting. I mean, this is I could sit here all day and look and listen, and I bet you are awesome at the trivia game.
Well, thank you.
For music.
Yeah, I do fairly well at it.
Well, thank you so much, Johnny.
Thank
and
you.
Good luck with your shop here in
Yes.
White Bear Lake, and keep on collecting. And I'll see if I can dig up some more albums
Okay,
to bring in.
great.
All right.
Tell your friends.
I will.
All right.
Well, I know I wasn't the only one whining about the endless winter we lived through this year, but that's nothing compared to what my next guest endured as a young child growing up in the South during the Depression and Dust Bowl years. She's written about it in a book called The Dirty Days. I'd like to welcome author and Maplewood resident Norma Welty for this Local Image interview. Welcome, Norma. Thanks for coming today.
Thank you, and I really am excited to talk about it too.
You decided to write this book when you turned, 81 years old? Is that accurate?
Somewhere in there. I just don't remember the exact date, but I know that I was 80 and a little
my
over
goodness.
perhaps.
So why did you wait, or what propelled you to want to tell the story now? You must have had this in your mind for some time, I bet.
Well, I think after I was an adult, I always knew when it would come to me. Of course, I didn't think about it all the time, but when it would come to me, I think I should write a book about my life growing up, because I know that it was probably typical.
Okay.
Although we children didn't talk about our hardships. It's really interesting to think about how we didn't. We just kept brave about it. We had the itch, and we didn't talk about it.
Right.
And we didn't talk about how difficult it was to keep clean or any of that. We just tried, and later I'll show some pictures and you can see by our faces that we're just trying to be children and enjoy life in spite of what was going on around us.
Well, I noticed that throughout the whole book. Molly, which essentially is you as a young child, I mean, your concern always was for your parents and their happiness and their health. And it's, you know, and all the people around you, there was such concern for other people. And I just really appreciate that, especially in today's age. It's kind of more of a central, you know, me first kind of a, it seems like anyway, environment. But back then, it was, everyone had to look out for each other, wasn't it?
I think they did have to, and they didn't even, I don't think, give it a thought. That was just their role in life at that time, I think.
What was it like to live in that environment? And it seemed like there'd be times when it was just one dust storm after another. I mean, just help us understand what that was like living in that time.
Well, you just went into the same mode. Get the windows stuffed around them with rags, strips of rags. Some people even wet them in a mixture of flour and water so they would be kind of pliable and then dry in there. And they left them in some windows practically year-round if it was, you know, staying in good shape. And the reason they had to stuff it around the windows is because of the drought. It was so dry that it dried up the wood in the windows and they shrunk, and doors too.
Interesting.
So that's why they did that. And then sometimes people would hang wet sheets across the doorway. I mean, you couldn't be too concerned about the decor of your house sometimes, and so you had to put nail holes through the walls, but we didn't have such nice walls, most of us anyway.
Right.
And you just nail it up there, and that would help to keep the dust from sifting around the so-called caulking that we had put around the doors.
And it was very hard physically on people. There were a lot of deaths back during that time, too, from breathing in all that dust. And you have some reminiscent of that as well. Yeah.
Well, babies and young children especially. I was a little past that age, and I had dust pneumonia. I'm sure it wasn't diagnosed, but I'm sure now from reading about the dust pneumonia that I did have it, but I was older, and I did survive it, but I was pretty sick.
Not only was it this horrible summers or year-round dust storms that would, you know, take over your lives that way, but it was also the depression. People were bad off.
Double whammy.
It was just an awful time for people, and I just felt so bad in reading the book. You'd have, you know, these hobos or kind of wanderers traveling through with, you know, even less than what you guys were dealing with. That had to just leave quite the impression on you as a young child.
I'll tell you, I think it did more as I grew older. It was just so nice to see people and come calling. That's kind of the way I thought of it then. And my mother, of course, had to kind of remind me, don't
be careful.
Don't stare, and you stay inside, because we didn't know who they were. We felt like they were good people, at least my mother did.
Yeah.
And so she tried to do the best she could for others when she could.
And it had to be, at times, a very lonely life, because I know you wanted so for friends to play with, and you must have been just kind of out there in the... Isolated, and so how did that shape you as a person, do you think?
Well, I think it did very much. First of all, to address the lack of material things. And it's made me so frugal today, material things and water and everything else, that when I shop, I look for sale signs that say 60% off. 20% is not very impressive.
Yeah.
I like them at 60%.
Exactly, me too.
Yeah, good. And then if there's only one left and it's in the wrong size, I fixed it.
Yeah.
And I don't do that as much as I used to. That's why I use the past tense.
Right,
But,
right. And when you were a young girl, you know, the best that it seemed like you could hope for was if your mom could make you a dress out of the flour sacks, and all of the little girls had those dresses. But you kept such good care of those because you had to wear them consistently. Again, appreciating just the little things that you had. When you'd get a pair of socks from your aunt.
Yes, yes. That was very special.
What is it that you're hoping that folks will take away from reading this book?
I think that the people, say your age and my daughter's age, will take a lot out of it when they learn how hard it was for their parents, or even the younger generation than that, how hard it was for their grandparents. And I think it would be relevant to even children who come from homes that have a lot.
Right,
You know, that
right.
they're well fixed and they have a lot. I think it'll probably make them stop and think, maybe I should be a little more appreciative of what my mom and dad are able to provide for me. In fact, I've had similar feedback from people who have read my book. I had a letter from a lady from Atlanta, Georgia, and she had read my book, and so that takes it out of this area.
Right.
And
right.
she said, after she had read it, she wrote me this wonderful commentary on it, and she said that that book should be in every school library in the nation.
Wow, I agree. I mean, I think most of us have heard about the Dust Bowl, you know, years, but really didn't understand what that meant to people living through that day after day. And just, I don't know, I think I'd rather go through our horrible winter that we had that never seemed to end. How about you? Would you change anything if you could?
Well, probably some.
Yeah.
But then again, probably not at all. I don't know. I have a little bit mixed feelings about it.
But it really made you the person that you are today, and
I'll have to say it made me who or what I am,
Right.
the better part of me.
yeah, absolutely.
Because I don't think that I'm all that great. So
Oh, you're awesome. I can tell you that just from our brief meeting. And so where can people go to learn more about the book, or maybe see if you're doing any book signings over the months ahead?
well, I have a website,
Perfect.
normawelty.com.
Thank you so much for sharing your book, The Dirty Days, and best wishes to you, Norma.
Well, thank you.
Well, that's all the time we have for this month. Please join me for more great local stories in June. And until then, I'm Judy Skeie-Voss, and I do thank you for watching Local Image.